Hey, thanks for finding my training video. In this video, I'll be sharing my secret strategies to help you take control of your finances and finally feel confident with your money in just 90 days without needing to restrict yourself or, live in constant stress. Now, if you're a faith-based working professional making good money and you're frustrated because you feel like you should have more to show for it, but, instead you're stuck in debt, overspending, and feeling financially stuck, you're in the right place. And over the next 12 minutes or so, I'm going to show you exactly how you can break free from the cycle, pay off your debt, and start growing your money safely without, highly risky investments, overwhelming spreadsheets, or just completely depriving yourself. And if you stick around until the end, you'll discover how hundreds of working professionals like you have been able to live life on their own terms through this step-by-step system. Now, let me guess, you've probably tried some budgeting apps, you've read financial blogs, maybe you followed the save more, spend less advice, but no matter what you do, nothing seems to stick. And deep down, maybe you feel embarrassed, regretful, or possibly even ashamed because you're making good money, yet still find yourself living paycheck to paycheck. Does that sound familiar? Well, one thing I want you to understand is whatever financial situation you may be in, it's not your fault, because inflation and the rise of cost of living is kicking all of our butts. Banks and credit companies are out there to get your money. And if school taught us these things to begin with, then you wouldn't be here in this situation at all, right? But given that you're watching this video, that proves to me that you're actually on the right path and you're not going to be in this position forever, right? And I promise that. So most people are stuck because they believe the lie that just making more money or cutting back harder is the answer to their financial hardships, though that couldn't be further from the truth. And a recent study actually found that more than 50% of Americans making over six figures are still living paycheck to paycheck. Feel free to search it up. Now, the reason why that is because the problem is rarely only income. The truth is, it's not necessarily about how much you make. It's about how you control what comes in and what goes out, and how you align it with your greater purpose, right? It's your strategy with your money. And now you might be wondering, who am I? My name is Jonathan, and I've been a personal finance coach for 4+ years. I've helped dozens of people pay off debt and eliminate risk, fees, and taxes in the way they save money and where they park it. And I just love helping people just like you control their money, manage their spending, and become better stewards and establish a solid foundation for their financial future. And so I want to share a little bit of my story with you today. Before I transitioned into personal finance, I was just like you. I was working in physical therapy, making good money, but I felt like my financial life was out of control. Despite earning a decent income, I was constantly stressed. I never seemed to have enough left over at the end of each month, and I just couldn't figure out where my money was going. And on top of that, I had bills, obligations, thousands in debt, and unexpected expenses hitting me hard. And I felt like no matter how hard I worked or how much I made, I just couldn't seem to get ahead. No matter how hard I tried, it felt like my goals were slowly slipping further and further away. But, I refused to let my situation define my future. And it wasn't until I realized that the problem wasn't my income, it was my system. Once I decided to invest in my education and mentors and stick with a clear plan and follow a step-by-step blueprint, everything changed. I paid off all my debts, began building my savings, and started growing my money safely. Now I help other faith-based working professionals do the exact same thing, and I'd love to show you how. And so it's built around a simple system, a proven 6-step roadmap called the Cashflow control system. Now, what it all starts with is clarity. You see, many people, when they come to me, they're usually all over the place with their finances. And this confusion, can keep them stuck. So during this first stage of money clarity activation, you'll finally see where your money is going, getting rid of, all the guesswork and no longer avoiding your bank app, right? We'll assess income, expenses, etc., and build your personalized freedom flow plan so you can actually visualize your complete financial picture. And this is so important because you can't fix what you can't see. So clarity is the absolute first step. And then we want to create an emergency safety net for immediate financial security. So you want to save anywhere between $1,000 to $2,000 for unplanned expenses. And this is going to give you that peace of mind, right? Knowing that if you ever get like a flat tire or, whatever happens, maybe your washing machine breaks, that you'll be able to pay in cash. So building up this buffer will give you at least some breathing room so you won't have to go further into credit card debt. right? So then after that, the third step is, it's off to the races with the debt freedom sprint. So we're going to want to eliminate all of the debt you owe, besides your mortgage. So this would include credit cards, maybe any personal or car loans that you may have. We want to do this in the most efficient manner, so you'll pay them off from smallest to largest, regardless of the interest rate. And the reason we do this is because we've seen many individuals, they tend to get discouraged when paying off their debt when they see such a large sum of money that they have to pay off. So psychologically, by paying off the smallest amount first, you'll feel encouraged to keep going and actually commit to the process. Then after that, we dive into strategic wealth positioning. Here, we want to build stability, grow your wealth safely, and be able to save. Start off by saving a 3 to 6 month emergency fund, so you have more of a buffer, right, to cover expenses if, God forbid, something happened, you lost your job, or something more dire happened, right? We want to have that 3 to 6 month emergency fund in place. And then we also want to set aside at least 15% of your income, for your future older self, because at the end of the day, you want your money working for you. So when establishing your nest egg, you want to consider long-term options for financial security. So that's exactly what we look for into at this stage. And then the fifth step involves working on your money mindset and actually mastering, the proper habits, right? That way you'll transform your relationship with your money while also applying kingdom principles. So by this time, you should see, you should start to become a better steward of your resources, and you would have developed healthy habits with tracking your money. And here we don't want you reverting back to any of your old habits that led you to the spot you're currently in, right? And so after that, the sixth step is to establish a purpose-driven prosperity plan. So you want to sit down and define your long-term financial purpose so that you can actually flourish. And this would allow you to hone in on paying off your mortgage, increase your tithing, maybe even leave a legacy, and really just help you stay the course in building true financial freedom. And so, I want to talk a little bit about who this would be for. So this would be for you if you make good money, but you find it hard to, actually save that money or manage it. Maybe you tried to budget before, but you never could actually stick to it. This would be for you. This would be for you if you lack an emergency fund and you're, constantly worried about unexpected events occurring, right? Maybe you're overwhelmed with all of the information that investment gurus spread out online. Or maybe you don't have a plan, or you're not putting enough aside for retirement. This would be for you. Maybe you're currently saving into a 401k, an IRA, and you don't want to have that burden of getting that huge hit in taxes later on down the line. Then this would be for you. Maybe right now you're still just constantly overspending. You don't really know how to lessen that, or you don't have any specific clarity on how to get out of maybe credit card debt or maybe some other type of debt. This is exactly for you. Now, this is not for you if, this is not exactly not for you if you're looking for a quick fix Band-Aid approach. If you're looking to just, go into high risk investments, if you're looking for the next crypto tip, this is definitely not for you. This is not for you if you're not ready to dig deep. You're not willing to look honestly at your finances and make the necessary changes, or if you're simply not coachable, then this is not for you. It's not for you if you're not ready to, financially invest in yourself, right? Because in order to make a change, get the knowledge and accountability you require, yes, you have to invest in yourself, but know that we will help you along the way to become debt-free and create a stable, purpose-driven financial life. So if you're not willing to do that, then unfortunately, this is not for you. Now, if you're not ready to take full responsibility, you're just looking for, just some advice, and you're fine with staying where you're at, allowing things to just continue the way they have been, then this simply isn't for you. And I want to talk about the main difference between those who stay where they are versus those who have been able to live life on their own terms. And this is solely dependent on what they choose to focus on. So if you choose to stay consistent with these three things: money management, debt reduction, and asset growth and protection, you'll always have clarity with your finances. You'll have healthy saving habits that you can always rely on. The feeling of relief knowing that, you're on track to eliminating your debt, and smart positioning to actually secure your financial future. So that's why these three things are so important while you're going through the 6 stages of the cash flow control system. Okay, so if this sounds interesting to you, I want to offer you something very special, but I have to warn you, this offer is only available to the first 50 people who watch this video. Now, what I want to offer you right now, and if you're ready, if you're ready to finally master your money, is a free 45-minute call with me. Because while the framework we went through in this video gives you a clear system, your situation is still unique. And you probably have some questions, right? Your current financial struggles or goals might be different from anyone else's. And that's why I want to offer you a free, no obligation discovery call with me. It's completely on the house. Just click the button below now to claim your spot. And once you click, you'll immediately be taken to a page where you can then choose a day and time to talk with me this week. And remember to book your call before the spots run out, because the spots will run out. And I do all these calls myself, right? It's just me. And so, I can only take a limited amount of free calls each month. So if there's availability when you check, go grab it while it's still there. And, please make sure to stay, to actually show up on the call. We want to give this valuable time to people who are truly ready to take charge of their future. So if you're done feeling stuck, ashamed and stressed out about your finances, and you're ready to finally take control, build a safety net and start growing your money with confidence, now's your time. So click the button now, book your free discovery call, and let's get you back in control of your cash flow. So click below, and I'll see you on the inside.